Hey everybody, welcome back. Mike from Spectre Comics. Going to do a little different type of video than I normally do. Today we're going to be drawing on pencil and paper. Normally when I do a drawing video, you'll see me doing a screen cap. I'll do an entire drawing. I'll screen cap it with my software on my tablet, and then I will basically combine all that footage and then just do a voiceover. I'll be on camera talking while I'm going through the drawing, but you end up seeing a much quicker drawing. And now we're actually going to draw real time, and it's a little more difficult for me because it's hard to think about what I'm going to say. I didn't script this at all while I'm actually trying to draw, so it's hard to focus on the drawing and talk at the same time. So I'll do my best, and I appreciate you watching. So we're actually laying out a comic page because Spectre Comics issue 7 is what I'm working on now. Page 11 of issue 7 is actually in the penciling stages. I don't really have a choice but to do the pencils. So what we're doing here is we're laying out from the script. I actually have my script here. Always write scripts for my comics. In the process of drawing, I write the script and then I just follow along and I come up with the layout as I'm going along. One of the keys to laying out your comic is to figure out, you're almost like a director in a movie, and you're almost storyboarding the whole, like a movie. You're trying to figure out what shot, who's in the scene. You can see I laid out a couple of these other panels earlier. I actually started this page back in November, and here I am in January 2022, kind of finishing up the page. But this is one of the greater action scenes. We've got the Spectre here are on a journey. They're on an asteroid, and they just climbed down a cliff. And as they're trying to move along on their journey, these rock creatures pop out of the wall, and now they're going to have to battle them or escape. So that's what this scene is about. This is one of the more action-oriented scenes in this comic issue. I drew these rock creatures a long time ago. It was actually way back in 2015 when I was writing the story. I actually sketched them while I was at Comic-Con, kind of waiting for, it was a slow day at Comic-Con in Artist Alley, and I just took my sketchbook out and I drew, this is kind of like the rock face that they're coming down and, heading on their journey through the valley, through this giant asteroid that they're on. And the idea was that these rock creatures would pop off the wall and then they'd have to kind of fight them in order to escape them. So I used this drawing as a reference. I designed these characters a long time ago. And now you can see that the Spectre and Arco, who's this character over here, have come down the mountain, come down the cliff. And now the rock creatures, they've kind of disturbed them as they traverse down the rock face. And now they're trying to escape. And they're kind of taken by surprise as these rock creatures start popping off the wall. So now we see the rock creatures attacking them. And, this one's raising his arms in the air in order to attack them. What I'm trying to do is just get the idea on paper. And I usually sketch the entire comic before I even start going to the inking phase. This part of the comic is just me laying out and trying different things. And then, again, I don't even have to be that accurate when I'm drawing here. I just need to get things down on paper. And it's actually, as I mentioned earlier, it's a little hard to draw while I'm talking because I'm trying to think about what I'm doing and where everything is going. I actually had to kind of pre-plan this for this video. The idea is that I'm just kind of laying the panels out. And again, you're kind of like a director. You're kind of storyboarding the scene. Creatures pop out. They are surprised. All of a sudden, they're faced with the creature. The creature raises his arms to attack. Because I draw on the tablet now, it actually lets me be a lot less accurate with the drawings that I'm working on while I'm penciling. I don't have to put as much detail in the drawing, in the sketching. So you'll notice that these are very scribbly drawings because there's just less detail, because it allows me to go quicker so that I don't have to think through it. Now, I did also want to talk about being an artist that's on YouTube, and I'm drawing constantly and capturing it for videos. I'm not a full-time YouTuber, and I'm not a full-time artist. A lot of the artists that you see on YouTube make their living by doing their art. And this is a hobby for me. I'm actually an architect in Chicago, and that's my day job. And so it's a very time-consuming job, and I draw when I can. When I was younger and had less, I didn't have as much responsibility as I do now, being that I'm much further along in my career. I used to draw at my lunch break. I would pull out my comic, my script and my pencils here, and I would go ahead and draw while I was at work at lunchtime, and then I'd get a lot more done. That's why I don't have as much of the comic done as I would like to at this point. But the idea now is that if I can try to squeeze in a little bit per week and try maybe finish, a couple pages each month, I can get this thing to the point where the entire book is laid out, and I can get to the inking portion again. And the inking is actually what takes the most time. So I just got to get the pencils done, and then I can see the whole book laid out. And the whole process of drawing from my script is that my script is kind of a first draft. Now again, here's my script. My script here is a rough draft. I've kind of thought through, I've written the dialogue, and you'll notice here that I've even edited or added some dialogue in, because this script is always kind of an organic working reference for the story. You'll see me coming in and writing the dialogue in word balloons on the page, but what I'm also doing is editing as I go. So I might write it down, I might draw it, I might see something, and then all of a sudden I want to change something because I think of something better while I'm actually in the drawing phase. So you'll see me editing as I go along. So there's several points along the way, from script to sketch to inking. I'm constantly in the editing mode where I'm changing the story. I will put all of the detail in when I get to the inking phase, but see how everything lays out. And the nice thing about the pencils is you can always go back and change it. In fact, I don't even like this panel. I'm going to go ahead and edit this whole panel because I should actually zoom out. So you see things once you start drawing, and then you'll want to change it. So I'm going to actually go ahead and zoom out and get more of the scene in. So the creature is going to be much smaller in the scene. I'm drawing with a mechanical pencil. I know a lot of artists don't use mechanical pencils. I always do probably because I'm an architect by trade and I like using mechanical. The mechanical pencils actually give me a lot more precision. And so I use a 0.7 with an HB lead. It's a soft enough lead, and I like that better. I use a mechanical pencil, and I use almost a mechanical eraser. I always used these when I was drafting in college with my architecture classes. I'm old enough where I actually drafted by hand back in the day. As I was getting out of college, computers were just becoming used in our industry. So we're going to actually a little shock wave here. I'm not sure how I'm going to show this as he slams his arms down. And then Storbo and Arco here are going to be jumping out of the way. Arco is going to be jumping this way, and sometimes when I'm drawing quickly, I'm just not going to get the detail in there. It's going to be really scribbly. I mean, this is it just gets the motion down, because one of the things about this particular scene is, and I've been thinking about this for a long time because I've been anticipating this scene, is that how am I going to show all this action? It's easy for you to put the characters on a page and have them talking to one another, but how do you actually draw all of the action that you want to show in a scene when you're not doing a movie, when you're not doing something animated? So what I'm doing here is trying to figure out how to show all of the action, especially when there's and because of that, there's actually a lot less dialogue. So these are really, really sketchy here. Now, I really do wish I had more time to draw, and there'll be some time maybe when I'm retired where I will be able to just draw all the time. And, I always designed Spectre Comics to be something that just could go on forever, and that's why it's set in outer space, because I always thought the characters could just constantly go on adventures. I figure, I can always make up stories with these characters. And, Arco is a character who I liked so much, and he's just he's a guest star in this particular series of comics, but I like the character so much that I actually want to go back someday and write a story just for him on his own. Maybe when I get bored of my Spectre characters, I'll go ahead and do that. But I do have this idea to kind of have Arco on his own journey with a different set of characters. And maybe, you do get bored of your characters after a while, but I've been drawing the Spectre characters since I was a teenager. Yeah, I've been drawing them forever. So they're kind of part of me, my most significant creation that I've ever done of any character I've ever created. So I see these characters going a long way, but again, Arco's one of my creations too, and I like the character a lot. And if I ever get bored of writing Spectre stories, there'll be a nice Arco Optiling comic. Optiling is the species that he is. This final panel here. Now, when I lay out panels, I always try to figure out what I want to see. And again, you want the reader to read from left to right, top to bottom. And I'm showing this as a scene going from here to here to here. And in this case, they'll go here to here because this is a quick action. And then this final panel will be something different. So from the script, I'm right about here. Now, I actually got only this much of the script, and this is like a 17-page script. But this just small section is one whole page. So I got to be conscious of that because I don't want the book to get really beyond 32 to 36 pages. Pages are always in a multiple of 4 based on that's how they print. The next scene is Spark pulls out his double blasters. Spark is the main character. He's right here. He pulls out his twin blasters. He usually carries 1 blaster, but I can have him pull out 2. He starts jumping around, and that'll start the next page. So I can draw Spark here real quick, and that will kind of end this page. But Spark is the first character that I really started working with. And when I was a kid, the comic's called Spectre Comics, but when I was a kid, he was Spaceman Spectre, and that's kind of where the word Spectre comes from. I liked the word Spectre for some reason, and so I created Spectre Comics, and Spectre became an acronym for Space and Planetary Elemental Collector Tabari Resource Explorer. And that makes sense if you know what all that means. The Spectre mission is to actually go find resources for their planet because the planet is dying. Their Tabari is the Spectre are from the planet Zantabar, so they're known as Tabari, and they're elemental collectors. So Space and Planetary Elemental Collector Tabari Resource Explorer. So the idea for the Spectre comic is that they are explorers, but then they end up going on all these misadventures. And that's the kind of the concept for my comic and for my stories. So they always kind of find themselves in weird situations. So as I sketch this out, Spark is the main character. He always has. Now, when I first drew him, he looked a lot different. I didn't actually give him a space kind of theme until probably college. And then I called him, again, he was Spaceman Spectre, and he was alone. And then as I got older, I said, I need more of a team. So I created this whole team of characters, and that's where the rest of the crew came from. So he's got a backpack here, and it kind of comes up, and he's pulling out his weapons here. And again, really quick sketches. This will get much... I like actually doing a comparison between my sketches and then seeing the final work. If you've seen any of my videos where I've drawn, you'll notice how sketchy my sketches are. But then the result usually ends up being really, really, sharp and much different than these quick sketches that we do. So the kind of blaster that he carries is this little red blaster with a little dish and kind of a little laser blaster here. And again, Spark usually carries just a single blaster, but I thought it would be cool if he was carrying double blasters and then kind of jumping around, kind of like a Lara Croft style action. So that is essentially this page, and I'm sure I will edit this as I go along. Again, I don't normally do videos like that, but as I'm going through the pages of sketching this comic, I think I'm going to do more videos like this where we're drawing by pencil by hand. Again, really sketchy, not meant to be perfectly refined. The refining will be in the inking, and when I start filming videos of inking these, I will link back to these pencil pages so you can kind of see how I went from these pencils to final inks. I appreciate you listening and watching. Let me know what you think. Put any comments in the comment section, share the video, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you watching. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next time.